Just got out of the shower. Can I be honest? Today's gonna be a short one. I know we got all these to do. But I just don't want to do them. I really don't. I've got some editing to do. And let me just make sure that you guys can hear me. Yes. Got some editing to finish that I also really just want to have done. And it's not like a stupid amount of editing, but still. Ooh, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing tonight? Let me get something pulled up here. I want to check. Oopsies. I want to check the stream. There we go. Okay. I wonder, could you guys hear that? Hold on. Wait. There we go. You can. Okay. Sorry. Get a little double me there. Anyway. Yeah, we're just going to do this tonight. But yeah, what do you guys think here? Hold on. Oops. Let me minimize that. Get this back. Okay. What do you guys think of my beard? I trimmed it up tonight. Right before I took my shower, I trimmed it. My wife and I are going to a fancy ball tomorrow, ball, something like that, ball gala. I think it's a ball, but she wanted me to shape it up, and so I tried to shape it up a little bit without compromise it. I want length, long, a huge. A good, I know it's I've been told it's an epic beard. I was told that a couple days ago, and so I want to keep that going, and so I really just and called it a day pretty much. But yeah, what do you reckon? Anyway, my dampness is going. Your dampness. Oh my goodness. What's going on? All right. Beautiful soup installation. Web scraping with Python.
So now we're going to talk about what you would do with a web page once you've retrieved it in a Python program. Call this web scraping. And so web scraping... So now we're going to talk about what you would do with a web page once you've retrieved it in a Python program. Call this web scraping.
In one of the jobs that I've had in the past, it involved, not involved, but it was tech support. That was a part of it. And so if something wasn't working, I would check for the error and see if it was, one of the options for errors was web scraping. And I didn't know anything about it. But this doesn't sound like anything's necessarily wrong. It's just kind of what something's, I don't know. Let's continue.
And so
what? Should have shut my mouth and kept going. What is web scraping? When a programmer script pretends to be a browser and retrieves web pages, looks at those web pages, extracts information, and then looks at more web pages. pretends. If it retrieves web pages and looks at those web data and tries to information, wouldn't that just be a browser? Search engines scrape web pages. When a program or script pretends to be a browser? So that's when you make something in Python, that like you make a program in Python, that's web scraping. Search engines scrape web pages. Okay. We call this spidering the web or web crawling. Cool.
So web scraping or web spidering is the act of retrieving a web page, extracting the links from those web page, making a queue of unretrieved links, and then moving on. And eventually the idea is if you had enough time, energy, bandwidth, and storage, you could find your way to most of the web pages on the internet that are point to or are pointed to by other web pages.
I'm like really dark, by the way. I apologize. Let me get this turned on here. There we go. Okay, so here. I don't know how much battery is in that though, so we'll see how that goes. Oh.
Their web pages to or are pointed to by other web pages that are point to or are pointed to by other web pages. Most of the web pages on the internet that are point to or are pointed to by other web pages.
Okay, sorry.
And so,
why scrape? Pull data, particularly social data. Why scrape? Pull data, particularly social data. Who links to who? Get your own data back out of some system that has no export capability. Monitor a site for new information. Spider the web to make a database for a search engine. Okay. Like trying to like absorb it. Spider the web to make a database for a search engine.
You might have all kinds of reasons to scrape data. You might have a blog that you posted. You might have, who knows, maybe you put some data in a system. Maybe the system's being shut down because it's being retired. You can do all kinds of things. You could write a little thing. I was talking to somebody who wrote a thing to retrieve something and check, and then send a text when something changed. All kinds of stuff. Or you might make yourself a search engine. But be careful.
Scraping web pages. There is some controversy about web page scraping, and some sites are a bit snippy about it. Republishing copyrighted information is not allowed. Violating terms of service is not allowed.
Not all websites are happy about you using a robot to retrieve their content. Some of the websites, as we'll see, demand that you log in and they track what you do, and if they think you're doing something bad, they will shut your account off. Other websites will track what you're doing without you logging in, but then shut your address off. And so you have to track what you're doing without you logging in, but then shut your address off. And so you have to be careful. You should read up. You should figure out what sites allow you to scrape them. Now I have some sites that I've set up that you can play with to make it so that it's legit.
The easy way, beautiful soup. You could do string searches the hard way, or use the free software library called Beautiful Soup from crummy.com. So what I'm gathering is this like hacking? You get in via code and not by just clicking. You like write your way in. Kind of sounds like what it is.
So parsing HTML is difficult. Some of the simple examples you could probably write a regular.
Wait, you didn't write that awful page. You're just trying to get some data out of it. Beautiful Soup is here to help. Oh.
Expression, or certainly some splitting and some whatever. And what you would find is you would write that code, and you'd retrieve your first 5 web. Certainly some splitting. So parsing HTML is difficult. Some of the simple examples, you could probably write a regular expression, or certainly some splitting and some whatever. And what you would find is you would write that code, and you'd retrieve your first 5 web pages, and it would seem to work, and then it would encounter some really weird but legitimate HTML, or maybe even sort of slightly broken HTML. So the web is full of broken HTML, and your browsers just look at it and go like, oh wow, more broken HTML. But they don't put up error messages, and so people just leave broken pages up. But your Python program is going to see those broken pages. So what you would do is you'd be like, oh, here's a new weird way to do an anchor tag. I'll change my code. Oh, and then run for another 100 pages and like, oh no, here's a new weird way to do an anchor tag. And the problem is that you're going to find a lot of different ways to mess up an anchor tag. And someone has already done that. There's a software called Beautiful Soup, and we have installation instructions on how to use it. And really what it is it's somebody just spent months figuring out all the nasty things that could happen and compensated for it and gave you a nice wrapped interface that just says, look, you give me the HTML and I'll give you back the tags, okay? And so it's called Beautiful Soup. And so you
import URL lib.request URL lib to parse error. Oh, from Beautiful Soup 4 import Beautiful Soup.
You have to install this. There's a couple of ways that you can install this. If you're good at extending your Python, you can just extend and install Beautiful Soup for all Python programs. If you can't change your computer's configuration because you're on a school computer or you're using a USB stick or something, then there's a way to download this file that I've created called bs4.zip. And so what you do is you end up with your file called URL links.py, and then a little folder called bs4, which is a folder that has a bunch of files in it from this zip file. And then you can run it, and so it'll pull it in, and you'll import from bs4 Beautiful Soup, and that's either going to pull it in from the folder you do, or if you have installed it using the Python installer, it will also you don't have to put this file in. So it's up to you. You can either do it one of two ways. So this is a little bit of code.
Import from bs4 import Beautiful Soup. URL equals input. Enter dash HTML equals URL lib.request open URL, which is the input, read, so it just opens whatever you put in here. Soup equals Beautiful Soup HTML, which is that HTML.parser. Retrieve all of the anchor tags. Just commented out tags equals soup A. What's soup A? For tag and tags. So what's A? For tag and tags. Print tag dot get href none. What?
Now, Beautiful Soup is a complex library, and so just because this looks easy, doing things in Beautiful
Looks easy, bro. What? Soup A? Tags equals soup A. I don't know what that is. For tagging tags, that iterates through. Print tag get. href none. Confused by this, man. What the heck is href? I think that's just what it prints, right? href none. Tag.get. href none. I don't know that for now.
Beautiful Soup, you might have to actually, read a bit more to figure it out. But we're going to just read this. We're going to import Beautiful Soup. We're going to ask for a URL right here. We're going to take that URL. We're going to open it. URL open. They give the URL and read the whole thing. That means we're not writing a loop. We've read the whole thing. That's okay as long as you know that the file's not so large. And then we're going to pass the data we got back. And this is going to be bytes, but Beautiful Soup knows all about bytes and all about UTF-8, and it figures that out. And you just say, hey, take that stuff I just got and tear it apart using HTML and give me back an object, a soup object. Now the soup object is something that you can run queries against. So it parses it and it figures that out, and you just say, hey, take that stuff I just got and tear it apart using HTML and give me back an object, a soup object. Now the soup object is something that you can run queries against. So it parses it, it deals with all the imperfections and inconsistencies in this HTML byte array. And it fixes that and gives that back. And so there's various things you can do, and you got to go look at the Beautiful Soup documentation. It could be a whole class on Beautiful Soup. So here's the thing you can do is this object, you can sort of call it like a function and say, hey, give me back the anchor tags. And anchor tags, of course, are the tags that say href equals blah, 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 /a. So all of this is an anchor tag. And then we're going to loop through the tags because there could be more than one of those anchor tags in the file. And then we're going to pull out that href, and that's what this does. We're going to tags because there could and say, hey, give me back the anchor tags. And anchor, you can sort of call it like a function and say, hey, give me back the anchor tags. And anchor tags, of course, are the tags that say href equals blah, 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 /a. So all of this is an anchor tag. And then we're going to loop through the tags because there could be more than one of those anchor tags in the file. And then we're going to pull out that href, and that's what this does. We're going to loop through all the tags and print out the href. So if you tell it to go to drchuck.com, it will show you the one external link in drchuck.com. And so I've got an assignment that sort of goes into that in some more detail. But this chapter has been a whole bunch of interesting stuff. We started with the TCP/IP model and talked about sockets that are phone calls between
design notification protocols to the TCP/IP gives us pipes, sockets between applications. Python has good support for sockets, HTTP, and HTML parsing.
Computers, and then how applications protocols are developed to say what we say on those phone calls. And we've explored then the HTTP protocol, which is probably the most likely thing you're going to see. And then we played with all this in Python and saw that Python is really good at this. You can write extremely simple and small programs to do some extremely complex and powerful things. And again, that's why people like Python, is because it makes the complex simple.
All right. Goodness me. We are gonna do these. I'm not just gonna blast through, but we are gonna do those. But that's gonna do it for me for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a prayer request, please leave a comment below. Please like and subscribe as well. Yeah, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. I'll be back tomorrow. But in the meantime, love God, love people. I will see you guys soon.